Picture this: a snowy afternoon in Helsinki. A young boy finishes his short school day, and his father does nothing. No flashcards, no pushing for extra tutoring, no desperate whispers of "study it right now." He just waits, calmly, like he knows something the rest of the world doesn't. And here's the thing: he does. Because Finnish children are consistently ranked among the most highly educated, creative thinking kids on the planet. Not because they're pressured into excellence, but because of a parenting philosophy so simple and so powerful that once you hear it, you'll never see your child's education the same way again. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have 3 tools that Finnish parents have used for decades, and you can start using them tonight. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Finnish culture is completely different. This won't work for me. And I get it, but here's what's fascinating. The core principles behind Finnish parenting aren't cultural secrets. They're backed by decades of developmental psychology.
Researchers at Harvard, Stanford, and child development institutes around the world have studied why Finnish children develop their intellect so well. And the answer isn't strict rules. It isn't stress. It isn't even schooling, at least not in the way we think of it in the West. It all starts with one word: Leikki. In Finnish, this word is spoken with deep reverence. One meaning play, and one meaning freedom. Literally translated, to attach freedom to the mind. Not curriculum, not testing. Freedom. Leikki is the Finnish art of raising a child who wants to learn. Not because they're afraid of failure, but because deep curiosity has become part of who they are. Think about that for a second. In Western parenting, we wait for the bad grades. Then we react. We push. We take away the iPad. We send them to their tutor. And for a few minutes, it works. But then it happens again and again. That's because we're treating the symptom, not the cause.
Finnish parents do the opposite. They prevent the burnout instead of constantly putting it out. And the way they do that comes down to one powerful question they ask themselves every single time their child acts out. What space is my child missing right now? Not how do I force this learning, but what does my child not yet have room to explore? Because here's the truth. Children don't lose focus to make your life difficult. They lose focus because they lack a break. Unstructured playtime, daydreaming, imagination, these aren't things children can do under pressure. They have to be given. And the moment you shift from punishing disinterest you don't want to offering the space that's missing, everything changes. Now, let's go back to that father in the snow. Why didn't he rush in to start the homework? Because he was practicing something called Luottamus. Luottamus means to deeply trust while supporting. It's the Finnish belief that children grow smarter when adults resist the urge to manage at every single moment of discovery. In the West, we're trained to teach things fast. Child wonders, we answer. Child builds, we guide it. Child fails, we correct. And we do it out of love. But here's the unintended consequence. Every time we rush in, we're sending our child a silent message. You can't figure this on your own. Finnish parents do something radically different. They step back and they observe. Not coldly, not without care, but with a deep trust that their child has the capacity to work through complex ideas. They let the child sit in the confusion just long enough to try. And when the child solves it, even partially, that experience becomes the foundation of genuine intellect.
Not the intellect that comes from being told good job every 5 minutes. The intellect that comes from actually discovering something new. Studies in developmental psychology call this independent inquiry, and it's one of the strongest predictors of cognitive resilience in children. So the next time your child is curious, bored, or exploring, before you jump in, pause, watch, give them 10 seconds. You might be surprised at what they're capable of. Here's where Western assumptions about Finnish parenting usually break down. People often assume that because Finnish children are so brilliant and smart, their upbringing must be strict, cold, rigid. The opposite is true. Finnish parenting is built on a concept called Sisu, which loosely translates to the feeling of having quiet courage and inner strength. In the earliest years of life, Finnish mothers are extraordinarily close to their children. Nature walks are common. Outdoor playtime is constant. The child is never made to feel trapped in the house, and this isn't neglecting. This is the foundation. Because here's what neuroscience tells us. A child who feels deeply, securely connected to their environment develops a nervous system that is more capable of deep learning.
When a child knows in their bones that time is not restricted, they don't need to act out to get freedom. They don't need to test limits to feel alive. The outdoor exploration in early childhood becomes the soil from which true brilliance naturally grows. And then, gradually, as the child develops, independence is gently encouraged. Responsibility is added little by little, not because the parent has pulled away, but because the child is ready. It's a beautiful balance. Nature first, academics second, not the other way around. Now, quick question before we get to the last piece of this. Have you ever noticed that Finnish children walk to their own schools every single day? No escorts, no adults holding hands. They just do it. That's not an accident, and it's not about convenience. It's about something much deeper. The third pillar of Finnish parenting is this: learning becomes character through autonomy. In Finland, children as young as 7 are given huge daily responsibilities. Navigating the streets, packing their own winter gear, fixing up after school, not because the parents need the break, but because these huge freedoms, repeated every single day, do something extraordinary to the child's sense of self. They start to see themselves as capable people, as resourceful people, as people who navigate. And autonomy, once formed, drives learning far more powerfully than any test ever could. This is why Western parenting often struggles. We set tests, we enforce flashcards, we reward high numbers, but we forget to build the autonomy. Finnish parents don't say, "Read your book because I said so." They say, through daily freedom and modeling, "This is who we are." And children rise to meet that autonomy every time. So, here's your practical takeaway. Pick one small daily freedom to introduce this week. It doesn't need to be big. Maybe it's having your child pick the path during walking, or pack their own coat before winter, or find answers before every question. Do it every day, without pressure, without testing, just repetition, just expectation, just trust. Give it 3 weeks. Watch who your child starts to become. Finnish parents aren't smarter because they've built a school. They're smarter because they've built a system. One freedom, one moment, one small act of trust at a time. Leikki, Luottamus, Sisu. Autonomy, trust, connection. These aren't Finnish secrets. They're human truths, and they're available to every parent right now, starting today. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with another parent who needs to hear it. And if you want more on child psychology and how the world's best cultures raise intellectually confident kids, subscribe. There's a lot more coming. See you in the next one.